Before cities rose from dust, before empires carved their names into stone, there was a river. The Nile, ancient, relentless, and generous, carved a path through golden desert and gave birth to one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever known. Egypt did not simply happen. It was summoned from the earth by people who understood that survival demanded order, vision, and devotion. Along its banks, farmers planted seeds in soil made rich by annual floods. Priests chanted prayers to gods with the heads of animals, and kings declared themselves divine. This was not mythology, this was daily life. Egypt was a world unto itself, sealed by desert on all sides, nourished by one miraculous river, and convinced with absolute certainty that it stood at the center of creation. Each one a declaration that Egypt would never be forgotten. A timeline so vast it makes most modern nations look like brief footnotes. The pharaohs were not merely kings. They were living gods, intermediaries between the human world and the divine realm of Ra, Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Their power was absolute, their legacy carved in limestone and granite across a landscape that still holds its breath in awe. Khufu commissioned the Great Pyramid of Giza around 2560 BCE, a structure so precise in its alignment with the stars that engineers today still marvel at its construction. Ramses II ruled for 66 years, fought the Hittites to a standstill at Kadesh, and plastered his name across every temple from Luxor to Abu Simbel. Egyptian religion was not a single belief, but an entire universe of meaning. The gods were everywhere, in the flooding of the Nile, in the movement of the sun, in the weighing of a soul after death. Anubis guided the dead. Thoth recorded their deeds. The heart of every Egyptian was measured against the feather of Neith, the goddess of truth and cosmic balance. If the heart was heavier than the feather, the soul was consumed. If lighter, eternal life awaited. This theology drove everything: art, architecture, medicine, mathematics, and law. The hieroglyphs covering temple walls were not decoration. They were sacred language, a conversation between the living and the divine. Mystery was not a problem to be solved in ancient Egypt. It was a doorway to be honored. Egypt became a Roman province, and an era ended. Egypt's golden eras were interrupted by invasion, internal collapse, and foreign rule. The Assyrians came. Then, the Persians. Then, in 332 BCE, Alexander the Great swept through without resistance, welcomed almost as a liberator. His successors, the Ptolemies, ruled for nearly 3 centuries, blending Greek culture with Egyptian tradition in a fascinating collision of worlds. Alexandria became the intellectual capital of the ancient world, home to its legendary library, to philosophers, mathematicians, and astronomers. And then came Cleopatra VII, the last and most brilliant of the Ptolemaic rulers. She was not simply beautiful, she was a strategist, a linguist who spoke 9 languages, and a ruler who understood that Egypt's survival depended on navigating the rising power of Rome. Her alliances with Julius Caesar, and later Mark Antony, were political calculations as much as personal connections. Centuries of Arab conquest, Ottoman rule, British colonization, and revolutionary independence have layered identity upon identity onto this ancient land. In 1952, a revolution ended the monarchy and began Egypt's modern chapter. Today, Cairo pulses with 21 million people. Ancient mosques stand beside glass towers, and the Nile still flows as it always has. Egyptians carry their history not as a burden, but as a foundation. The pyramids still draw millions of visitors who stand in silence before something they cannot fully explain. That silence is the truest tribute, proof that some legacies are simply beyond language. Egypt has been conquered, converted, colonized, and reinvented, but it has never been erased. It endures, as it always has, written in stone, carried by water, and alive in the memory of a people who know exactly where they come from.